This video specifically is for you if God has called you to be on social media. If he has called you into entrepreneurship, he's called you into online business, he's called you into influencing, but you have been inconsistent. You're not showing up consistently. You're not showing up powerfully, or maybe you're just full blown in disobedience and you're not showing up at all. And if you're not building your social media presence, you are not building your brand. If you're not building your brand, then what really is your business going to stand on? And so I know you think that you're inconsistent because you don't know exactly what to do. You don't know what step to take next. You may think you're inconsistent because you're shy, or because you're afraid to show up on camera, or you care so much about what other people think. And while those things are true, they're symptoms. The root is the attack on your identity and your beauty. Again, the perception of your beauty is sabotaging your content creation process. It's not that you're shy or you fear being perceived. You don't like the way you look, or you're insecure about a flaw or something in your appearance, and that is causing you to play small online or to not show up at all. You're dealing with imposter syndrome because you don't know who you are in God. You don't have a real full-blown revelation of the powerhouse woman that God has called you to be. You don't believe that God has called you to millions and thousands of people. You don't believe that you have a sphere of influence and that you have an iconic brand on the inside of you, because if you did, you would be preparing to see that manifested in the earth. You would be showing up. There would be nothing that could stop you from showing up if you knew and you actually saw who God saw you as. Right now, you're thinking that you're not pretty enough. You're thinking that you're not good enough. You're thinking that you don't know enough, that you don't have it together enough. And you fear being rejected by people. You fear people not engaging with your content. You fear people not listening to you because of what you will make it mean. What you will make it mean if you have 0 views or just 1 view. What you will make it mean if people don't like your video. And a lot of you who jumped on social media and you're playing small, you've made it mean that people don't want to hear from you, that people don't like you. You've made it mean that you have to have a certain type of look or aesthetic to actually blow up on social media. And all these things are lies, but it's a story that you've been telling yourself that has been keeping you from your destiny. And yes, not being on social media is keeping you from your destiny, because if you're called to reach millions and you have an avenue, and we know we're going to do that through technology, through social media, and you're not getting on social media because you're afraid or because you don't like the way you look, then yes, you're out of destiny. And if we know your movement is birthing your marriage promise, then we know you not being on social media means you're not birthing a movement, which means you're not stepping into a marriage promise. It's all connected. So be real about pulling up this root and recognizing that it's not that you don't know what to do. It's not that you're afraid to be on camera. It's that you've gained weight and you don't like the way that you look. It's that you have a flaw. It's that you have acne. It's that you don't like your voice and you're afraid to put it out in front of the world because you're afraid that other people won't like it either. The first step here is going to be acknowledgement, because as long as we skirt around the issue and pretend that it's something it's not, we can never really get to the bottom of it and get you to start showing up. Shout out to my 1K balloons. Okay. I just hit, it's been like a week now, but I hit 1K subscribers on YouTube, and I did this after relaunching my channel in about 3 months, which is a humongous deal for me. And I have a video coming up about that where I'll dive a little bit deeper. But it's really nice to even just be having this conversation, because I struggled with getting on YouTube for years. I believe it was around 2018. Going into like 2019 when God first told, no, it was 2018. I didn't get on YouTube until 2019. I remember now when God told me to get on YouTube, and he told me to get on YouTube and start showing up there, right? I didn't even have the movement in the business that I have now, but what I was doing back then, which was a lot of love and relationship coaching, he wanted me to do on YouTube. But guess what? Your girl was afraid. And I didn't know it was an attack on my beauty. I didn't realize it was a perception of my beauty. But I was very deeply insecure. And to be honest, I was cute, but I didn't really see myself that way. And I was looking to the left and the right, especially that era. That's when that was the height of influencers. And I felt like I didn't really have the look. I felt like I didn't know what to say. What will people say? What about my skin? What about this? What about that? What will people think? Will they judge me? Like, I had all of these things that kept me from. And every year afterwards, and don't get me wrong, I did make a video or two. Then I would stop for a year. Then I'd make a video or two. And I had times, even in like 2021 or I believe like 2021, 2022, where I did put out like a certain amount of videos, and I was getting some views, but to be honest, the videos weren't bad, but they were laced in insecurity, right? Even though people probably didn't look at it and think she's insecure, there was something about the videos that weren't resonating because of how I felt about myself, because of the lack of power and authority that I had in my voice, because of the lack of authenticity, because of the fear. And so for those of you who are showing up on social media now, you're not really getting the engagement that you want. It is because you're missing you. You're saying all the things that you think people want to hear, or you're saying all of the things and trying to show up in a way that you think people would approve of you. And like, you're missing the entire point of why you need to be there in the first place. And so I struggled and I struggled and I struggled and I struggled, and I had to deal with me. It wasn't more clarity on a content strategy. It wasn't more clarity even in my messaging that I needed. I needed to deal with me. I needed to raise my self-esteem. I needed to heal. I needed to get my mind right. I had to do so much of that work. Even when my business started picking up last year in 2023, I wasn't really maxing at my full potential because of my inconsistency on social media. And I kept thinking, this is warfare. And don't get me wrong, it was. And I'm like, why can't I be consistent? Is it that I'm lazy? Like, what it really is the issue? And the issue had everything to do with the way that I was seeing myself and the way that I wanted to come across on camera so perfect. And don't get me wrong, you guys know I love my nails, jewelry. I like looking cute. I like being polished if I can. But at the end of the day, I'm showing up and giving this message regardless of what is going on, regardless of how much weight I've gained, regardless if I have a breakout on my face, regardless if I'm bloated. Like, no matter what the situation is, I'm here on a mission. And while there's nothing wrong with wanting to be cute, if you're going to let the way that you perceive your looks hold you back from your destiny, you are really tripping. And so I really overcame by warring, like doing the inner healing work that I'm always talking about, like really healing myself through mindset shifts, recognizing the lies. I believed lies about myself. I remember when the scales fell from my eyes and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm beautiful. But like, I really didn't see myself that way. All I could see when I looked in the mirror was flaws. All I could think about when it was time for me to record a video was what somebody else would think, and if they would notice this, or if they would be thinking about me this way, or what about people who knew me. Like, that was what fueled me. That was the filter that I used to create content. And so you can imagine that that was exhausting, and that did not help me. So I had to do the inner healing. I had to do the mindset work, and then I had to create a strategy. And I want you to recognize the sequence of events. You can't create a content strategy, or you can't create a very good content strategy from the position of lack, from the position of insecurity, from the position of low self-esteem. Because no matter how good a content strategy is, you can't carry it out if you're not being the woman, if you're not being her. And so I even see with some of my clients, their content strategy is very mid, it's very mediocre, because they don't want to put themselves out there too much. They don't want to show their face that much. They don't want to tell their story that much. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to be authentic. So they try as much as they can to put out graphics or just things that keep people far away. Therefore, they're not building a know, like, trust factor. People don't really know who they are. People are not really sold into them or buying into them. People don't really understand their mission and their message because they don't want to show up boldly and powerfully online. Again, this is an attack on your identity, and it is an attack on your beauty, your glory, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself, how you see yourself. That all encompasses your beauty. That all encompasses your self-image. And if the enemy can get you to believe that you're less than, if he can prevent you from seeing yourself the way God sees you, as a powerhouse, as a woman called to reach millions, as a woman called to slay, as a woman who has a sphere of influence and a leader that is going to open up doors for thousands of women who come after her. If you saw yourself that way, as if you saw yourself as somebody uniquely beautiful, if you saw yourself with the unique essence that makes you pop, if you saw yourself as the woman who can build an iconic brand, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because you would be producing right now. You wouldn't be consuming more than you produce. You'd be showing up. If you knew that there was healing in your vocal cords, and that when you spoke out, women all over the world, or women and men, people all over the world would be healed. People would come to God. People would be transformed. People would understand better. People would get knowledge and revelation. People's life would change, all because you opened up your mouth in front of a camera. You'd be recording a video right now instead of listening to me. And so this is your clarion call to understand there's an attack on your content creation that starts with the attack on your beauty. And there's a whole rabbit hole to go down when the enemy is successful with getting you with these attacks. And so this is why I created my She's a Masterpiece mentorship program, because I understand very well at this point, because God gave me that word, there's an attack on a woman's beauty, back in 2022. And I had to live it for myself, and I've experienced it. So I know exactly what you're going through. And I created She's a Masterpiece so that women in business who are supposed to be getting themselves positioned for marriage, can have a place to thrive. You can have a place to grow spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and financially, because you're securing the bag. You're securing the man, but you're securing your own self-esteem first. And so that's why we have She's a Masterpiece, so you can see yourself as a masterpiece, because when you see yourself as that girl, and when you start showing up as that girl, the sky is the limit. Literally, you start stepping into that promised land. And that inner healing work, that mindset work, that embodiment work, content strategy, we do all of that in my program. In fact, next week, I actually have a Captivate with Content workshop coming up. It's a 5-day workshop. It's going to be hosted in Telegram so that you can engage with it in your own time. In this workshop, we're going to help you launch or relaunch your social media presence. So if you haven't been showing up online, or you've been showing up inconsistent, or you've been showing up but it's not all that good, I'm going to give you my simple framework for creating a post. I'm going to give you the mindset tips that you need. I'm going to give you the embodiment tips that you need. And by the end of the week, you will have a nice, cute social media post that goes out into the atmosphere. And I'm going to review each person who posts. I'm going to go look at your post, and I'm going to give you feedback. You can even get VIP and work with me one-to-one all week. So like, the option is there if you need it. This is for those of you who you're hearing me right now and you're like, I gotta get on social media. I gotta get on social media. Very frequently on TikTok, I have women who are like, yeah. I resonate with this message. Yes, I get it. I believe you. God told me this too. Yes. What is the first step though? What do I need to do first? And this is no matter where you are in business, because some of you want to know, how do you start in general? Some of you want to know, how do you start by taking it to the next level? After you have the burden from God, your niche comes from the burden that God has given you for your people. Okay, after you've gotten the burden from God, which is going to help you clarify the mission, it's going to help you clarify your message. That all comes from the burden. You start by getting on social media and claiming your territory. Think about the Bible, and God was giving out land, and he was like, I've given y'all this land, bump the giants, bump the people, y'all going to overtake them, like this is yours. That is what God is telling you right now. This little corner of the internet that's yours, that's your territory. And you're going to reach far and wide. So you simply start by getting online. You choose your platform, which you already really know what that is, and you start creating. You can literally turn on the camera and start talking to your audience about the burden and about the mission that God has given you, and sharing that with people so that they're on board and understand what it is you're there to do. You can start by telling your story and giving your testimony, knowing that it's going to bless somebody. You can start by opening up your mouth and letting God fill it. You don't have to have a perfect content strategy and angle and hook and gimmicks and how you're going to capture people's attention and what you're going to do. You can start by being authentic and showing up and sharing with your community what it is that God has placed on your heart. That is good content. That is what gets people on board with what you're doing. That is how you get followers. We're not following the ways of the world. We're not following the gurus and how they're telling you to be strategic. When you are first starting out or you're restarting, that's what I did. When I got back on social media in April, I wasn't so pressed about what do I say and how do I say it. Well, I'm lying. I was a little bit. So I learned this lesson through that. But I quickly learned that it's not going to be about how strategic I'm being right now. It's going to be about me opening up my mouth and sharing. God gave me this word. This is my message. This is why I'm here. This is my mission. This is what I want you to learn. This is what I know that you need to know. This is what God has placed on my heart. And I started just opening up my mouth and letting God fill it. Sometimes I had no clue what I was going to say, and I just started speaking, and it was the word of the Lord, and everybody was like, oh my goodness, this was for me. This was for me. This was for me. That's what you start doing at the beginning. That's what you start doing right now. When you're inconsistent, forget the crispiness of your content strategy. Forget a content calendar. Get online. You know what these people need to hear from you, and speak it and share. Just like right now, I know that social media is your territory. I know that the attack on your beauty is hindering you. I know that you right now need to be activated. I know that you need some encouragement and some motivation. I know that you need a kick in the butt so that you can get up and move, because you're very close to missing another moment, because God told you to get on social media years ago and you didn't. And there's going to only be so many times before you just completely miss out through your own disobedience. And because I know what it feels like to miss out, and because God has given me vision for what's going on in your life, I don't have to have a perfect script or a perfect content strategy. I know that you need to hear it's time for you to get online. It's time for you to get on social media. I know that you need to recognize and have revelation that is the attack on your beauty and the perception of your beauty. That's what's keeping you off. And that's the area that you need to focus on. So I created a program that helps with that. I even created a workshop that helps with that. And this is how you will do as well. Don't focus so much on the mechanics of your business. Focus on serving people and what they need to hear and what they need from you. That is the best place to start. Turn on your camera and open up your mouth. You're going to have to war against the attack on your beauty. You're going to have to war against the attack on your identity. Stop letting the enemy intimidate and punk you out of your destiny. If this message is for you, I want to also invite you to my beauty bootcamp for entrepreneurial future wives. It's called the Baepreneur Beauty Bootcamp, and I love it because this bootcamp, it's a 5-day bootcamp. It's happening in a couple weeks, and it is the foundation for building an iconic brand. It is the foundation for blowing up your business. It is the foundation for really stepping into your destiny. Day one, we come out of the gate swinging with self-image rehab, learning how to rewire your brain for beauty. We talk about owning your unique essence and your it factor. We talk a lot about confidence and creating confident content online. We talk about preparing to be prophetic kingdom wives. We talk about stepping into her. Like, this boot camp is lit, but what I love the most about it is it's dealing with your heart, your mind, your soul. It's dealing with the embodiment. It's dealing with the mindset. It's dealing with the foundation. So many people build on shaky foundation. As soon as you get a negative comment, as soon as you run into an issue, your business falls apart. But we're building on a solid foundation of identity and high self-esteem and high worth and security in who we are and who God has called us to be, because that is when nothing can shake your business. So I pray that this was helpful. I pray that this blessed somebody. Let me know in the comments any questions you have. Let me know in the comments if it blessed you, because I really want to know who's in the room right now. I want to know how many of you guys resonate with this. How many of you guys know you need to be on social media, or you know you need to be going way harder than you're going on social media, but you're not. Look at my story. You can start today and in 3 months be hitting 1K. In 3 months be hitting 5K, right? Like, it's nothing. It doesn't have to take you forever. You can start a channel today and your first video can go viral. Like, who knows? You can grow at exponential speeds, but like, you just have to put yourself out there. You have to jump out there. You have to do the work. Come to the boot camp. I will see you in the next video.